Y'all know what it is.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Eggs. This week's special guest is none other than Raúl Galera, Chief Advocate at ReferralCandy. ReferralCandy is a referral program management tool that since its launch has amassed more than 30,000 paying users, generating more than $10 million in annual revenue. What's cooler than that? Among those 30,000 users, they've paid out more than $300 million in referral commissions. Referrals are a key marketing tool for a lot of businesses, and for many of us, we simply don't know where to begin. For that reason, Raúl joins us today for a primer on referral programs, what they are and how to implement them, how to grow revenue and scale a product launch using referrals, how to get started with a referral program if you're new and don't already have a built-in audience, and so much more. Please join us in welcoming to the show, Raúl Galera. Hey, Raúl, how are you, man?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for making the time to do this. And we were talking just before the show, found out you're in Spain. So it's starting to get towards your afternoon or evening. So we'll try and keep this conversation nice so you can enjoy your evening over there.
Sounds good.
So cool. So Raúl, let's, I guess, kind of start a little bit at the beginning. Do you mind just kind of sharing your background and talking a little bit about, sort of who you are, where you come from, and how you ended up doing referral marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been at ReferralCandy for almost 6 years now, 6 years in September, which is, I found out recently that's an eternity in tech. It's kind of funny whenever we hire somebody new now, they kind of come to me and they ask me like, why have you been at ReferralCandy for so long? Like that's apparently that's a weird thing to stay at a company for such a long time. But yeah, the reality is that I've been managing partnerships at ReferralCandy since 2016, and kind of like the way I got to ReferralCandy, it's kind of unusual. So I'm from Spain. After I finished college in 2014, I moved to Chile to work for a startup that was part of this acceleration program called Startup Chile. Actually, I think it's still around. Basically, what the program does is that it's backed by the Chilean government, and what they do is that they invite startups from other countries to come to Chile and start their businesses there. And in exchange, you get I think it's like 30K equity-free money in a kind of like a 1-year visa to work on your startup there. And so through a connection, I managed to get a job at a startup in that program, and I was living there for 2 years. And the company I was working for was providing recruitment services to other startups. So since I was doing sales and biz dev, I was talking to entrepreneurs and tech founders pretty much on a daily basis. And I was like, man, I want to sell software. Like, I don't, this is great. Like, I mean, I'm really happy with, with my job and everything, but that's what I want to do. Like, coming from kind of like a sales background, those 2 years that I spent there, I realized that I wanted to work in SaaS. So, and I also knew that I wanted to find a remote job, which, believe it or not, in 2016, it wasn't that common. It wasn't very easy to find a company that was willing to hire you without meeting you in person or having you go to a physical office. And so what I did is that I went to AngelList, and I started kind of like browsing through companies that were hiring remotely, and I came across ReferralCandy. I actually, something I particularly liked, and I mentioned it in the application, is that I thought it was a pretty honest way of doing marketing, in the sense that you're not running ads. You're not trying to kind of like leverage a third party kind of platform to acquire new customers. You're literally just using your own customers to get them to refer you to their friends and family. So I thought, this is a tool for companies that they're doing, something good, and brands that are actually doing their job well and they're providing good services. Those are the brands that are going to be able to leverage this tool. And so what I did is I reached, instead of applying through AngelList, I actually emailed Dinesh, the CEO, directly, and I told him, hey, I want to work with you guys. And we had a couple of interviews, and that was back in 2016, and still here.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Can you tell us a little bit about what a referral program is and how they work? Obviously, it's your customers referring the business for you, but there's got to be more to it than that.
Yep. No, absolutely. So, I mean, a referral program, it can be as simple as, we all have in mind Uber's referral program or Dropbox or Airbnb. Those are kind of like the most famous examples. And the kind of like the core of it is to get your customers to refer you to their friends and family. Word of mouth. I always like to make a distinction between word of mouth and referral marketing. Word of mouth is, any sort of kind of referrals that happen organically, in the sense that, we're always telling our friends what we just bought. Like, I just bought this pair of headphones, and after the call, I can tell you, the brand, and I can give you my recommendation, and I'm not being incentivized by the brand to tell you about it. But, those conversations kind of come up often. And so that's word of mouth. So anything that you do on top of that to get your customers to refer you to their friends and family, like, for example, giving them an incentive, it's considered referral marketing. And so a typical structure of a referral program, you give your customers an incentive to refer, which could be either a coupon code that they can use on their next purchase, or a cash reward, some sort of cash back. And then for the friend who's the person that hasn't bought from your store yet, that soon to be customer, but they haven't bought from you yet, you give them another incentive, which could be a coupon code, to make that first purchase and become a customer for the first time. And the good thing is that after they become a customer, you can also invite them to join the referral program, and the cycle starts all over again. They get a unique referral link that they can share with their friends, and kind of like I said, the cycle starts over.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And it's funny, this gap we're bridging, right, between sort of word of mouth marketing, or what I guess would have been the older version or the traditional version of referral marketing, to what we're doing now with technology in place. And I think you're right. A lot of people have seen these kinds of programs. Maybe they didn't realize what they entail or whatever, but they've seen these kinds of things where it's, you get the coupon in the email that says, hey, send this to 5 friends, and for everyone, or you see it with credit cards, for example, all the time, right? Refer a friend to the Amex, whatever card, and you get $100 or something. And, so you see these kinds of programs all the time. So I think, on their face, they're actually, not as complex as you might think. But do you mind talking about sort of the problems or the pitfalls with installing something like this? So I think that, like I say, on its face, I think it's relatively simple, right? It's this idea that we incentivize people for a referral. But in actual execution, I imagine there's probably a few more things that people miss.
Oh, yeah. So I would say that the first, and this is kind of like even before you launch a referral program, something that it's important to know is that, or to keep in mind, is that a referral program cannot fix a problem that you might be having on your business, in the sense that, if you don't have, happy customers, if you don't have good reviews, if your product's not good, if you're getting complaints on customer support, a referral program, it's not only not going to help, but, it might even make some damage, because it might, you're asking people to refer you to their friends and family when they're clearly not liking your product or the service that you're providing. So I would say that's probably kind of like the main mistake to avoid, is if you don't have, product market fit, or if you don't have customer satisfaction, don't start a referral program, because it's not going to work. But on top of that, assuming that your company, again, is selling a product that your customers are enjoying, and you get a recurring number of orders, new customers coming in, pretty much every day, it seems like you're in a good position to start. Some of the mistakes that you might make by launching a referral program is, for example, something I see actually quite often is not setting interesting or attractive rewards for the referral program. And that's something I see quite often, in the sense that we have e-commerce stores that are willing to pay, a multiple of their clients, LTV in terms of customer acquisition costs, just to get the customer to buy for the first time. But they're not willing to translate that into a reward in the referral program, which at the end of the day, it's the same result. It's acquiring a new customer. And so, in terms of setting up rewards, I see quite a lot of e-commerce stores that they're not giving enough of an incentive to their customers to go out and refer, in the sense that, if you're providing, if the incentive that you're giving your customers to refer their friends is to get a 10% coupon on their next purchase, and that 10% coupon is something they can also get by signing up for a newsletter, it's not really going to work. Customers are not really going to be incentivized enough to go out and refer their friends. They might still do it, just as I mentioned earlier, in terms of word of mouth. They might still talk to their friends and family about the product they just bought, but they're not going to be as invested in actually going out and refer your product. So setting up an interesting and attractive reward structure, it's honestly at least 50% of the kind of like the reasons behind the success of your program. And then besides that, I would say that one of the most common mistakes that I see is that brands don't do enough promotion of their program. So don't assume that just by having a referral program and having maybe a link to your sign up page on your site, that's enough. You might tell your customers once about the referral program, but the reality is that in a week from now, they're probably going to forget. And it's not because they don't like your product. It's just because, there's a lot of things that are happening in our daily lives, and we're bombarded by content marketing. And so it's easy to forget. So doing promotion in terms of, sending reminder emails to your customers, sharing it on social media, sharing it on whatever platform you're using to get in touch with your customers. Let them know about the referral program. Remind them that they have a referral link, that they can use it to refer their friends. In a lot of cases, it's also about what they can give their friends. We've seen referral programs that give a bigger reward to the friend than the advocate, and that works too, because sometimes we share because we want to provide something good for people we care about. But yeah, that kind of like reminder, or like just making sure that your customers are being reminded about the program. It's probably the other 50%, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And, you mentioned something specific that I really like, which is this idea that referral programs can't fix your problems. I think for a lot of people who are doing internet marketing and they're trying to promote a business or whatever, who are maybe used to the, Google AdWords model or something where you can just proactively push out, content, whether it's good, bad, and different, right? You're just trying to drive people to a website sort of indiscriminately. You might be targeting or whatever, but I mean, ultimately whether your product's good or bad or whatever is yet to be seen, right? Like basically you're just saying we're great, come check us out. And so there's sort of this, I don't know, I guess ability or opportunity for people who are dishonest to be dishonest. And so, but it seems like with the referral program, you lose that. And I think that that's a great point. This idea that you just can't fix a problem. Like if you don't have a good customer service, if you don't have a good product, if you don't have whatever, like people aren't going to lie on your behalf, right? And so I think that that's a really interesting model. You mentioned at the top that this, you felt like when you got into this, that it was an honest way of marketing. And I really like that, as somebody who's been in advertising and marketing, essentially my whole career, I found that I've been a little bit disenfranchised or stepped away a little bit from traditional advertising because of its sort of manipulative nature. It feels like we're tricking people into making a purchase and that kind of thing. So I really do like the purity of this. So next, I wanted to talk a little bit about the, how do we get started if we don't already have like loyal customers, right? I guess there's probably a fine line when it makes sense to get into this kind of program. And so I wondered if you could talk a little bit about just sort of when is the time, when am I too big? When am I too small? Or when does it make the most sense? Just, because for me, like I would want to start a program like this right away. It sounds great, if everything's good. But am I throwing bad money after a good idea if I, don't have X number of customers, for example?
So I would say that when I talk about timing, I don't think that. So again, if you have the basics right, what we just mentioned about customer satisfaction, good product, etc., it's never a bad time in the sense that it's going to hurt your business to launch a referral program, but it might be too early in the sense that it might take you a long time to actually see meaningful results. So if you are, and I'll talk from an e-commerce perspective because that's what I see pretty much every day. So some of these numbers might not make sense to somebody that's in a service business or consulting or whatever, but they can probably kind of translate it into the numbers of their own businesses. In e-commerce, so if you are not making at least 100 orders a month, it's probably too early to launch the program. And there's a very easy reason behind it. It's the fact that for a referral program to work, you need people. And the people that you're going to be inviting to join your referral program, those are customers. And so you need to have customers so they can join your program and they can become advocates and refer their friends. So Kind of going back to the what I just mentioned earlier about reminding your customers about the referral program. One of the reasons why you need to remind customers about your referral program is because, like I said, they might forget about it, but you can't assume that all of your customers are going to join your referral program. And you can't assume that all of your customers that join the referral program are going to actually end up sharing their link. And you can't assume that all of your customers who joined the program, shared the link, their friends are actually going to go and make a purchase from there. So it's a numbers game. So for every 100 customers that you get signing up for your program, you can assume that maybe 30 will share their link, and then maybe 3 or 4 friends will actually make a purchase. So I mean, just kind of like ballpark numbers here, but so you need kind of like a critical mass of customers or advocates in your program. So if you're selling under 100 customers every month, it's going to take a while to be able to see meaningful results in your program. Now, if you are between, I would say, 500 orders and 1,000 orders, you're probably in a really good position. If you're making over 1,000 orders a month, it's definitely the right time to launch the program. That's when you can probably see results pretty much right away. But like I said, it depends. At the end of the day, the good thing about referral programs, and this is not just speaking from Referral Candy, but just referral programs in general. The beauty of referral programs, in my opinion, is that it's a customer acquisition channel for which you only pay based on performance. So you only pay, you're only giving out discounts once the purchase actually takes place. So you're not just dumping money into a budget, like in an ads scenario, for which those people might end up converting into customers or not. You're only paying once the transaction actually takes place and you actually acquire a new customer. So even if it's too early, it's not really going to cost you that much to have the referral program running, and you might be able to acquire some customers for a lot, for a lot cheaper than you would on, Google Ads or Facebook Ads or, whatever it is.
Yeah, I like that. How does Referral Candy kind of differentiate from other options that are out there? What is, the selling points of going with Referral Candy versus another company? Does it integrate with, most shopping networks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So first of all, we're multi-platform. So we're on Shopify. Obviously, we've been Shopify partners for over 10 years, but we work with also with BigCommerce, WooCommerce, Magento. And even if you have your own kind of custom store built, you can still integrate with Referral Candy. We have 3 kind of like standalone integration methods and an API. So pretty much anybody, as long as your checkout allows us to get information about the purchases, you can integrate with us. So I would say that's kind of one of the main selling points. And then the other thing that I personally like to mention is that a lot of our competitors have expanded, I would say, horizontally in terms of offering referrals as a feature. And what I hear from merchants that are in one of these competitors and then they come to us is that they feel like they're underutilizing kind of like the referral channel. Because when you are offering, let's say, different loyalty options to your customers, and referrals is just one of them, you're not making it as important as it should be. And it's a very important channel because at the end of the day, it's a very easy way to acquire new customers and retain existing customers almost at not additional cost, in the sense that you're not paying kind of like a high, base fee, or you're not paying like a budget and kind of waiting for results. It's a performance-based marketing channel. So that's one of the things that we've decided to do. Is kind of like remain niche and remain focused on Referral Candy and remain focused on referral marketing, and to allow our customers to use this channel on a performance-based kind of way. And we actually believe in that concept of kind of like, being a performance-based marketing channel, that our pricing structure, it's also based on performance. So there's a base fee that you pay to Referral Candy, which is as little as $39 a month. But the bulk of our revenue comes from commissions on referral sales, which means that if your referral program doesn't make money, we're barely going to make any money from you as well. So a lot of our competitors they charge based on the number of advocates that you might have in your program, or the number of orders general or total orders that you have in your store. But that doesn't necessarily translate into how well the referral program is going to work. Just by having 10,000 advocates in your program, that doesn't mean that you're going to make a lot of money in referral sales. So we understand kind of like the nuances that referral programs can have, and it makes us sleep better at night knowing that we have a pricing structure that allows us to charge based on what our customers are making. If they make revenue, we'll make revenue. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I like
that's
that.
pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think for your average, e-commerce shop, especially, maybe smaller to mid-sized shops that are just kind of, maybe at that 100 sale threshold, I think that's probably a relief to cut down on an expense that way.
How does the reward or whatever the incentive is make it to the customer, the person that's making the purchase? Is it an automatic discount that's kind of tied into the shopping cart, or is it something a little more unique?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it actually depends. So kind of like the easiest way, there's several options. So I'll start with kind of like the first one. So let's say that a friend sends you their referral link, and you click on the link, and then you're taken to, first of all, you'll be taken to a landing page where you can see the offer. It's like, hey, your friend, here's 20% off from your friend and a coupon code. And so, for example, on our Shopify and our BigCommerce integration, you actually don't have to copy that coupon code. Once you are redirected to your store, you see that coupon code at the checkout directly. So you don't necessarily have to copy and paste. It will be waiting for you at checkout. So that's one option. Now, let's say that you actually make the purchase, and you use the coupon code, you get the discount, and then your friend's going to receive an email from the store saying, hey, your friend actually ended up making a purchase, and here's your reward. Now, if the reward is another coupon code, we'll just send them an email with the coupon code and kind of like instructions on how to use it in case that the merchant maybe set up the coupon code so it can only be used in the next 30 days or 60 days or something along those lines, just so the customer knows, how much time they have to actually use it. But we'll just send them an email to the advocate with the coupon code. Now, let's say that instead of a coupon code, the merchant is giving cash to their advocates for those referrals. What we do is that at the end of the month, and Referral Candy, we send our invoice to the merchant, and we say, hey, by the way, this is our commission, and now these are all the cash rewards that need to be paid out to your advocates. So we collect the full amount, and then once we collect it, we send out those individual rewards to the advocates on PayPal. So the merchant only has to make sure that kind of like the balance is paid, and then we take care of the rest. And then the third option, so those two are, as you can see, are kind of like fully automated on our end. And then we have a third option, which is what we call the custom reward. So that allows merchants to give anything that's not coupons or cash. So it could be a free product, a gift card, a free shipping, something along those lines. And then in that case, those rewards need to be fulfilled by the merchant. We don't actually, send out physical products to customers. So that one is kind of like a hybrid. We have a way of letting merchants know which ones are the customers that need to get rewarded, but the actual fulfillment needs to happen on the merchant side.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's really interesting. Well, and I think that automation touch is nice, being able to sort of just hand this off and have it be sort of, I guess, one-stop shopping, right? Like, because managing these programs, especially if you have a large advocate program, could become, really unwieldy for your, marketing manager or whatever to take control of. So it's good to be able to find a partner like that. I wanted to ask you, so you mentioned earlier that one of the key problems, or one of the big problems that businesses have when they try and implement a referral program, is that maybe their incentives aren't great. Maybe they choose an incentive that doesn't line up right with their audience or whatever. And so I wonder if we could just explore that topic a little bit more and talk about just how somebody, might, let's say they've got the requisite number of sales. They've either are working with your platform or any platform, and they're trying to get a referral program off the ground. How can they, create an incentive that works? Like, if they are there certain characteristics of looking at their own business that they could look at, or like, how do you understand where to begin? Because I think, it's easy to just go with the 10% discount or whatever. But I mean, is there any logic around picking a effective incentive?
I mean, we can summarize it with as much as you can possibly afford. It's really that linear. Like the higher the rewards, the kind of like the more referrals that will take place. It's really as simple as that. Now I understand that some merchants might have maybe if they're reselling products, it's not their brand, they're reselling other products. Maybe they have a smaller margin, so they can't really afford. If they're getting like a 10% margin on each product, they might not be able to afford a 10 or 5 or 15% commission, because that will eat their margins. But even in that case, I would ask merchants to look at how much they're spending in other channels. In the sense that, how much is it costing you to acquire a customer on Facebook? And in some cases, I actually, I was chatting with an agency a couple weeks ago, and they pointed me to this report. I think it was from eMarketer, about kind of like data from 2021. And apparently Facebook has made more money. So on average, Facebook makes more money than e-commerce stores make on their kind of like their profit margins, and net profit, basically. So which means that e-commerce stores are paying more to Facebook than what they make in net profit, which is, it's crazy. I mean, it's like Facebook, it's actually making more money than the store itself. So when you think of that and you look at, okay, how much money am I spending on acquiring a new customer on Facebook, and then I'm sure that you can cut the number in half and offer it as a reward on your referral program, and it will be very attractive. The problem is that, and this is something that we might want to kind of like talk about too, is that since we're talking about people referring other people, merchants usually gonna get cold feet in terms of, well, is there going to be fraud involved? Like, are people going to try to refer themselves? And that's something that over the past few years, we've actually built a pretty robust anti-fraud system at Referral Candy to address that issue. Because, again, like anything that involves people, it's prone to fraud or people trying to game the system. So which I understand, but at the same time, once again, it's all really a matter of making it as attractive as possible so people can go out and refer. So of course, and if you already have a promotion on your site that's easily available to anybody, like the 10% off when you sign up for a newsletter, don't offer a 10%, because it's not going to feel special for neither the friend or the advocate. Or if they receive a coupon code and it's a 10% coupon code, they might as well just wait, use the one from the newsletter, and then use that other 10% coupon on their next purchase. So it's all really a matter of kind of like making the offer as special as you can. There's one case that I actually, I've mentioned it a few times. We had this merchant that was doing really well. The referral program was doing really well, but then every weekend their referral sales will drop to a minimum, and then on Monday they will be back up again. And that happened over several weeks. And we were on a call with them, and they were trying to figure out what was happening. And so, they were talking to us about, hey, like, is there something wrong with Referral Candy? Like, over the weekends, like, we don't get any sales. And it turns out that they have a weekend sale for which they offer a bigger discount than what advocates and friends can get. So if you get a 20% coupon from your friend, but it turns out that if I go on your site on Saturday and there's a 40% site-wide discount, I'm obviously not going to use my friend's discount. I'll use that, and then I'll save that discount save my friend discounts for another situation. So again, as the more unique or and attractive you can make it, obviously always taking a look at your own kind of like margins, the better. It's as simple as that, really.
Yeah. As someone who is using your product, what kind of feature sets does Referral Candy offer as far as, like, does it track certain stats? What's the admin panel like? So on and so forth.
Yeah. So the number one thing that we look at to measure the performance of our referral program is referral revenue. And so that's literally the number one piece of data that you're going to get from your Referral Candy dashboard. It's how much money are you making and how many orders are you getting from your program on a monthly basis. And then using that data, we have a formula that we call the referral rate, which basically it's the percentage of either revenue or orders that are coming from the referral program compared to your total sales. And that's, in my opinion, that's a very interesting number to keep an eye out for, because let's say when you run an email campaign with existing customers, and you have some sort of promotion that you want to notify your customers about, and you say, okay, well, we made X amount of money from that. Like, this was the ROI from this email campaign that we run. That's revenue from existing customers that were already on your list, and you're just kind of like telling them to come back to your store and buy from you again, which is absolutely great. Referral revenue, though, it's revenue that's coming from referrals, which means coming from brand new customers. So when you calculate your referral rate on a single month, that's not only revenue that's coming from your referral program, which means that it was probably cheaper to acquire than Facebook or Instagram ads, but it's also coming from brand new customers. It's customers that are probably going to stay with you and buy from you in the future, and you just acquire them for the first time. So that's something I always like to kind of insist a little bit when I talk to merchants, because in the dashboard, I think it doesn't really give you as much information as it should. And a referral rate, and a high referral rate, can really change your business, because on our case study section, we have a good number of merchants that have a 10% referral rate, which means that 10% of their monthly orders are coming from referrals. So if you compare how much it costs to acquire a customer from referrals compared to again, any ads platform, the profit that they're making on those brand new customers, it's huge compared to any other channels they may have. So yeah, the revenue on orders, it's the number one thing that we look at. After that, we also show them, how much referred traffic have we driven, or has the referral program driven to the site. We also have access to some social media posts, so you can see, depending on the settings, you can see who posted on Facebook or Twitter about you, using the referral link. Obviously, you can see how many new advocates you have in your program, so how many new customers have joined your referral program and now have a referral link. And then there's one thing that it actually became pretty useful over the past few years as more and more brands started to work with influencers. So we have a feature on the kind of like the dashboard, the stats view, where you can see who are your top advocates, who are the people that have referred the most friends in the past month. And so sometimes you can see that there is somebody that has referred, 5 times more friends than anybody else. And when you start looking into that person, you realize that, oh, these guys are huge on TikTok, or they're huge on Instagram. And that's why. And so it's a tool that we didn't plan it really that way. I mean, it's just that kind of like the way that e-commerce evolved over the past few years, turned into something that is useful for merchants to identify potential influencers that they didn't know they had.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. You never really think about the influencers having an effect on your campaign or whatever, but when they actually do kick in, it's like, oh wow, that's pretty neat.
Yep.
The email campaigns, is that built in, or do you have to use a third party like MailChimp or something like that, or do you guys have that implemented into the actual process?
It's built in, but you can also replace a lot of the emails. We have integrations with Klaviyo and MailChimp, so you can replace some of the emails on any of those two platforms. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah,
so that's kind of like an added benefit that you wouldn't really notice if you didn't sign up. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit. You mentioned earlier, or we talked a little bit about incentives earlier. And one of the things that you said is that, for some people, who maybe are reselling a product, for example, maybe they don't have a lot of margin, right? So it gets really difficult to come up with
recently, I think is Mixer's having some problems.
Oh, okay. I thought it was me. I was about to get the cable.
Hopefully he jumps back on here. You there?
Yeah, seriously, dude. I'm going to throw this board through the window. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so I'll just start over with the question I was going to ask. So, anyway, what I wanted to ask was, so we talked a little bit earlier about how, for people who are maybe reselling products, for example, they may not have a lot of margin to work with, right? Maybe they're in a situation where they can't discount by a lot, and maybe that 5% off coupon or whatever isn't very compelling. Is there such a thing as I don't know, maybe a really creative solution to an incentive that might be something not financially driven? Maybe it's not a percentage off, maybe it's not dollars off, but rather it's exclusive access to an item, or, first dibs on something, or, is there another way to be clever if we are in a position where we don't have a great margin, or maybe we've tried things in the past like discount codes and stuff and haven't found much success? Are there other modalities of using referral marketing that might be more effective?
Yeah. So to be honest, like the most of the referral programs that we have are based on either discounts or cash. So it's not super common that we find merchants with kind of like custom rewards, just because it's a lot easier for them to just set a coupon code or cash. Like, for example, if you're selling a product that your customers can buy on a regular basis, give them a coupon code, because you're also incentivizing them to come back to your store. And if you're selling a product that your customers are not going to buy anytime soon, and I always give the same example because it's it's pretty easy to see. If you're selling mattresses online, well, obviously your customers are not going to buy a mattress anytime soon. So give them cash, and that way they're still incentivized to sell products. But there are still some cases in which, if you know your customers very well, and also that's something that you as a brand need to do, not just for your referral program, but in general, you need to understand what your customers are incentivized by, and who are your customers, and kind of like what's their persona. You might realize that neither cash or coupons might make a difference on kind of like what their incentives are. So we have actually one really good example that I think explains this very well. So we have a customer called Referral Co. They are a company based out of Australia, and they sell basically toys that help toddlers sleep well at night. And so they realized that a referral program was useful for them, because this is a problem that parents have when their kids can't sleep. And so they go on kind of like message boards and forums and stuff like that, and they talk to other parents, and they ask for ideas, or Facebook groups, and they ask for ideas, and then those recommendations from other parents are extremely valuable. Like, people take those recommendations very seriously, even if it's coming from people that they don't know, but they share something in common, which is having a family, basically, and raising a child. And so they realize that offering a cash, so again, they sell these toys, and they set up a referral program, and they realize that once the parents buy one toy, they don't necessarily need a second one, especially if the kid's already kind of like liking the toy, and it's kind of like create a kind of like a personal kind of relationship with the toy. Like, they don't really need a second one. So giving them a coupon code for a second purchase, doesn't really make sense, because they're not going to use it. Giving them cash, you could give them cash, but they realized that, or I guess they figured that it wasn't either something that it was going to motivate them that much. So they went with the third option of the custom reward. So they said, look, we'll give you another free toy for free, and you can give it as a gift, or you can give it to your kids, or whatever it is, but you'll get a free toy for every 5 people that you refer. And that actually worked really well. They realized that parents were going to refer the product anyway. They also figured that by offering a non-monetary reward, it didn't seem like that big of a sale, in the sense that, like you said, nobody's going to lie for you, and especially nobody's going to lie just to get a free toy, right? So they realized that those referrals were going to happen no matter what, and so they kind of like adjusted the rewards in a way that it was incentivizing in a way for parents, because it's like, oh, sure, I can get, it's a gift that I can give to my kid on their next birthday or something like that, right? If they like this, the one that still have, why not? So I've seen that's one example. I would say, and this might not apply to brands that have tight margins, but it kind of ties back to what I said earlier about offering really interesting incentives. We have a customer that's been with us for forever, called Threadbeast, and they're a subscription box business. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but
yeah, actually, my son was subscribed for a while.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah, exactly. So
use the product.
So so if you go on YouTube and search for Threadbeast, you're gonna see unboxing videos that were probably posted this week, and it's because their referral program, it's set in a way that if you get somebody to buy from your referral link, I think they get like 50% off their first purchase or something like that. So it's like a pretty big incentive to sign up, but you'll get another box next month. So you'll get, for every friend that buys from you, you're going to get additional boxes. So it's a pretty interesting incentive because these are clothes that they're obviously not sending you the same garments every month. So, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll get like 4 pairs of pants and like 3 t-shirts and 12 hats and like over the next, few weeks or months. So that one actually worked really well. And the referral program's one of the programs that have been with us for forever. And I think that's one of the reasons why it works so well. They're on the subscription box business, which is a really tough business to be in because you need to convince. Once it works, it's great because you have the most loyal customers in the world. Like people that literally just give you their credit card and say, just charge me every month, send me the product. Like I don't want to go. I don't need to go on your website. But it's tough because there's a lot of different brands that are trying to compete for the same type of customer. In the same business, there's this really cool brand. They operate in the US called Woven, and they sell t-shirts. And what makes them different, again, how many e-commerce stores are selling t-shirts, right? What make them different is that they sell t-shirts that every month they release a new design and they never release it again. So you get kind of like a limited edition t-shirt that it's only come out once and that's it. And their referral program is something like, again, like 50% off for your friend, which means that their first t-shirt is going to cost like, I think it's like $7, maybe something like that. And you get another month for free. So which means that, next month is on us. So again, I don't know if they necessarily work for the company that has a tight margin, but there's definitely room for kind of like, original ideas on how to reward your customers with something that's not a coupon.
Well, and I don't know if my son is an indicator or not. I mean, he's a 15-year-old teenager, right? So he was a big advocate for Threadbeast. He really loved it. For people who aren't familiar with Threadbeast, basically it's a subscription box. Every month they send you like streetwear and stuff. So it's like the kinds of things you would see in a Zoomies or a Tilly's or something like that. And so for my son, that was exactly what he was looking for, and he really liked it. And so I don't know, again, if he's an example of their demographic, but I assume there are a lot of teenagers that are sort of into their stuff. But the one thing that teenagers don't have is money. But what they do have is time. And so they'll do this sort of advocacy. They'll create these unboxing videos. They'll do this kind of stuff because that's what they can do. Like in my son's case, I mean, if he had the opportunity to just tell a few friends and get a free box, like he would love that. And so, and I don't recall actually seeing a referral thing when we were subscribed. He's not subscribed at this time, but when he was, I don't remember seeing that. But knowing that thing is a thing, I may send him back to it because he's trying to launch his own streetwear brand, so he's talking to a lot of kids all the time, and it's like oh well, you should be talking, get yourself a bunch of free clothes. It would also help, back to school is not too far off, so I would be stoked if you got a couple free boxes.
Yep.
So cool. All right. So you gave us an example, I think, of a good way to do a custom solution, with the baby toy that you were talking about. It's a good way to make a sort of custom incentive versus just doing, a percentage off or whatever. But I wonder if you could talk about, or if maybe you have a case study of an example that sort of just crashed and burned. Like, I mean, is there something that somebody tried that was just not effective at all? Like, I mean, and maybe it is something as simple as just, the 2% discount or something, but I just wondered if you had anything that might be interesting, that might be a thing that seemed like it should have worked, but it just didn't work.
That's a really good question. Man, I'll have to go back and look at examples, but sometimes I don't have one specific example in mind, but I do remember, because since I work with agencies, I used to kind of like be an account manager for agencies for their client accounts. So I would look at their accounts on a regular basis and say, hey, like, this is something you can do to improve your program, or and I remember. Again, not specific cases, but I do remember seeing referral programs offering exactly what you said, right? Like $5 for a referral, for kind of like not for like a small ticket item either, right? So it was effectively a small reward for a referral, or offering again 5%, or offering the 10% discount that's already available on the site, and telling the merchant, telling the agency, hey, like, it could probably not work as well as you would like to if you have these type of rewards. It would be great if you could improve it. not seeing any changes, and then down the line seeing that the referral program didn't work. That's happened.
And it does seem to me like the kind of thing an agency would sell into a client, right? Is one of these referral type programs. And, and I think, and I've seen this, I run an agency myself, but we also work for other much larger agencies than ourselves. And so we're a part of some of these campaigns where they'll go and they'll pitch an idea, but not fully form it, just know that referral marketing is a cool thing. So I'll sell it to my client, but they're not really putting that much thought behind the strategy. It's just, oh, well, this is a cool platform, we should use it. And so I see a lot of that sort of like these half-baked ideas being sold into clients that are basically not effective. So in a case like this, it sounds like, the strategy didn't support the solution. So I think that, and we've sort of beat this drum a little bit during this episode, but it really is, know your customers, make sure you're doing these things. And back to this idea of sort of authenticity or honesty in marketing, right? I mean, I'm not trying to sell you a bill of goods, right? Like, we have a good product. You liked the product. Why don't you tell people about it? You're doing it anyway. Why not get a reward? So I think that's really good. I wanted to ask though, so we talked a little bit about maybe 100 sales being sort of the threshold, or 100 monthly orders being sort of the threshold for getting into this. I wondered though, if you had any insights or ideas that might help people who are maybe in that 0 to 100 range, that are trying to sort of, I guess, front load or prepare for a plan that might be to come. So, maybe it's the way that they talk to their customers. Maybe it's the kind of rapport they try and build, even if it's 1 or 2 or 10 orders, is there something they could be doing to sort of, I guess, prime the pump a little bit so that when it comes time for referrals, we already have some, not influencers, but, advocates in place?
Yeah. I would definitely say, and by the way, I just want to touch on something that you just mentioned about kind of like the half-baked ideas. I've seen that a lot, like either merchants or agencies that come to us with a referral program already in mind, like the structure they want to run, probably because that was what was approved by management. And then coming to talk to us, and then we say, look, you could really increase those numbers and you'll get better results, but that's what was already approved by management. And so, and I
can give you an example that like I'm working on right now, right? I'm building out a bunch of Google ads right now, or our team's building out a bunch of Google ads for a client. And we just got the specs yesterday, and it's like, okay, well, it needs to be 3 rotations. You only have 15 seconds or whatever. Well, the particular, like the creative that we supplied is very copy heavy, is all the stuff. And so now we've plugged it into the specs, and it's like almost unreadable, right? Because it moves so quickly and you can't keep up with it. Well, some account person sold this idea that we need to be doing Google ads to this person. They approved creative, they approved language, they approved all that stuff. Then they found out what they needed for Google. And so when it actually got to execution, well, now you either have to unwind all of that, right? Because you've done everything and you've got approvals and you've done all these things along the way, or you go forward with an ad that's probably not going to perform because it's illegible. And so it's like, so, I mean, that kind of thing happens all the time where you have sort of, and I think in agency in particular, it's very common, this disconnect sort of between creative and sort of client services, right? This idea that your account executive, and in this case, it was an account coordinator who sold this idea in, and ran the whole project. And then now when it's coming down to execution, she's going, oh my God, this isn't going to work. What do we do? And so it's funny. So I think that's where the sort of the idea of this, is there a way to sort of build an audience before we need the referral audience, right? Is there a way to sort of, prep our customers for what's to come?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you have 0 customers, you got to get the word out there. Obviously, kind of like you guys probably know more than me about this. Kind of like building out an audience from scratch. You need to rely on ads. You need to rely on SEO. You need to maybe create partnerships with other brands, although it might be difficult if you're a startup and nobody knows you. But there's quite a market for brands that are trying to kind of like, let's say you're selling shoes, I'm selling socks, why don't we, promote each other, right? Or create some sort of bundle, and you can access my customer base, I can access yours. Working with influencers. We actually have several agencies that are using Referral Candy, not for referrals, but for influencers. So the way that brands typically work with influencers is that the influencer gets paid an upfront fee. And then, sales may happen or not, right? But you've paid that budget, and then you can have you're kind of hoping that those stories and those posts are actually going to happen. You get the content obviously, and you can reuse it for your product pages and for ads and whatever it is. But that's kind of like the nature of how it typically works. We have agencies that are using Referral Candy and telling these influencers, look, we're going to pay you. We might pay you like a little upfront fee for creating the content, but then we're going to split the sale. So for every customer that you send us, we're going to use Referral Candy. We're going to give you a referral link, and then you're going to get paid like 25% of every sale that you generate forever, right? And that's a very attractive offer for influencers, because if they know their audience and they know their audience is engaged, then they were like, wait, you're giving me 25% of every sale I generate for life. Why not, right? If they actually know their audience, if they decline the offer, then it's probably a good sign. It's probably a good idea that you actually didn't go with them, because that means that they probably know that they can't convert their audience. So working with influencers, and again, like just using the approach of like reaching out to them, trying to create a relationship with them, being like, hey, where can I send you these products so you can just take a look at them, keep them, use them, see if you like them, and then we can talk about a collaboration, right? When you're a brand new company and nobody knows you, that's probably an easy way to get noticed. It's just to talk to people. Maybe don't talk to the influencers that have millions of followers, obviously, but those that have maybe 10,000 followers, 15,000 followers, they're probably even reading their own messages. They probably don't have an agency or an agent reading the kind of like the DMs for them, right? You can just be like, hey, we love what you do. We think that our brand resonates a lot with your content and your personality. Give me an address so I can send you these products, and let me know what you think, right? And this comes with something that I particularly think that brands, especially brands that are getting started, should do. And it's not my idea, but it's doing things that don't scale. I've met merchants that literally give their customers a phone number. Well, they either give a phone number, or they say, look, just give me a phone number, I'll call you either before or after the sale so I can hear your feedback. Like I want to know what you think about my product. And that resonates a lot with, let's say you go to like your, local restaurant, and the owner comes up to your table and asks, hey, how was the food? Like, that kind of like personal touch, I think sometimes it's missing on I was going to say in e-commerce, but, kind of like the online business in general. So yeah, if you can create a personal connection with your initial customers, get their feedback, because that's going to help you down the line. That's invaluable. So that's definitely one thing that I would recommend to do. It's something that's it's not easy to scale, obviously, but doing it at the beginning when you have more time, it's probably definitely something you can afford.
Yeah. I think that's good advice. Yeah. And I mean, I was just going to add to it, that you would, if you're starting anything, right? I mean, you start with friends and family, let's say you're trying to finance a startup, right? I mean, they always tell you your first stop is friends and family. Your second stop might be venture capitalist or whatever, right? But, but same thing with basically looking for referrals early on, right? I mean, your friends and family already like you, right? I mean, we already, we say this all the time, but, people do business with people they know, like, and trust, right? So, I mean, that's the lowest hanging fruit. So if you're trying to build a referral program, why not start with the people who are going to refer you anyway, just based on your merits? They're already your friends, they're already your family. And then, as you proceed and you do get to that 100 order level, well, now it's time to look at automating, and how can we maybe build that out a little bit more, and, maybe continue to leverage these advocates.
Yeah.
Have you seen any good results with like a service-based industry versus like a product-based industry? So like, say a plumber or something, have you seen any good stories off of that?
Yeah, that's a good question. To be honest, since we've been focused on e-commerce, we haven't really seen those type of businesses, come our way or work with Referral Candy. That being said, we launched another product in 2017, 2018 called Candy Bar, and it was supposed to be not supposed. It actually worked for a while. A kind of like a digital version of loyalty punch cards. And one of the features that we were working with, with spas and like, flower stores and cafes, restaurants, all that kind of stuff, right? Automating making those physical punch cards into a digital version. And unfortunately with COVID, we had to shut it down, and we, obviously retail, like physical retail, just basically stopped for a long time. And on the other hand, we had to dedicate a lot of resources to Referral Candy because e-commerce was growing uncontrollably. So, but the next feature that we were going to build was a referral feature for that product, because it was something that kept coming up. Like you said, plumbers knew that they were getting referrals. So people would call and say, hey, like, my neighbor recommended your services, or like for gardening, landscaping businesses. Like that was extremely common. So I know they work. The only thing is that since Referral Candy is kind of built for e-commerce, we need to check out, we need all that kind of stuff. It doesn't really allow that kind of like offline transaction. We don't really work with those businesses, but I definitely know that there's opportunity there, because we saw it for a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
that's right.
That's great. I've really enjoyed this conversation, Raul. We're kind of at that time. It's that hour mark. Can you tell people where they can reach out and how they can get in touch with you and Referral Candy, and maybe take advantage of your product?
Yeah, absolutely. So ReferralCandy.com, that's the best way to kind of like learn more about Referral Candy and how it works. If they want to get in touch with me directly, they can find me on LinkedIn, or my email, which is Raul G, so RAULG @ReferralCandy.com.
Perfect. Well, that sounds great, Raul. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Grateful to be connecting with somebody over in Spain, and I'm jealous that I'm sitting here in Salt Lake City at the moment. But but we'll get back.
Come visit.
Yeah, no. So thanks so much. No, in fact, I was supposed to come last October, but I was going to speak at an event in Gran Canaria, and it was right when the volcano hit. So I ended up not coming because of the everybody from La Palma was moved over to
True
Islands for a minute. So anyway, so we'll get it worked out eventually. So
absolutely.
So cool. Well, thanks so much for doing this. We really appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thanks so much to everybody who tunes into the show this week and every week. And see you guys next time.